Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are having a very good time at KubeCon. So today in this track, the maintenance track, when I was submitting the proposal, one of the idea was for me to think about the challenges that I faced on becoming a maintainer, or like for the previous or other open source projects that I have worked on. So what I wanted to take away with this talk was like how to present a journey on how you can become a Flatcar. Be it Flatcar or some other projects, but definitely here I'll be talking about Flatcar. And the other thing is that I plan to like talk through things which would definitely, if you're willing to contribute to other projects, it would also help you there. But overall, the talk is primarily around Flatcar. It's a minimal OS, and we are looking for a maximum impact and talking about the journey on how you can become a Flatcar maintainer. And with that, so let me introduce myself. I am Sayan Chowdhury. I have been an open source contributor for almost 12 to 13 years now. I have contributed to various other communities as well, but presently I am primarily a core maintainer for the Flatcar Container Linux project. That might give you the question on what is Flatcar. Now, Flatcar is, as I mentioned, is a immutable minimal OS, and the journey started off back when Container Linux was there, the CoreOS Container Linux, and when Red Hat acquired CoreOS, we at Kinfolks forked out of a new project called Flatcar Container Linux with the same ideologies that CoreOS Container Linux had. And the idea for this project is that you use a lot of traditional OSs for deploying your container workloads, but with the growing container ecosystem, we wanted to have an OS that is focused towards container. So we started to strip down the OS, have less packages in there, which is just required to run your container workloads, and have an immutable OS. So essentially, the core architectural properties are like you have a USR partition, which is like read-only, and we don't provide any package manager for that matter, like you don't get DNF apt or anything. But what we do is that because we have like, we solely rely on the packages that we provide, and if you require something else, you rely on the container workload containers to work on those things. And due to this fact, the releases, we do very often quick releases. The release cadence is around 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes even lesser. But yeah, this is where I would brief upon a bit later on how we would like to get more maintainers to look into the release process, package maintenance stuff. And we recently got into the CNCF incubating project. It's around a year back. This is August 2024 when we became an CNCF incubating projects. And we are, since we got into CNCF, it has been a steady rise of contributors and users and and users, and we have been getting more and more contributions towards the Flatcar project. Now, why contribute to Flatcar? So if the reason to contribute to Flatcar, which I feel is that it gives you, so we operate on, so you have like, different contributors might have different interest areas. So this definitely caters to a bunch of those use cases. For example, you are working on Go and you would like to contribute to some Go code bases. So we have a few projects so Flatcar is essentially a collection of multiple projects. And we do have Go code bases. If you are into Rust, we have our update engines which are written in Rust and which is getting actively developed. If you are into package maintenance, you want to know more about core systems, definitely package maintenance and in general, like the overall building on Flatcar is somewhere you can look into. And with this journey, you could give more ideas into the project. We are very open to ideas, so you can definitely put in your ideas, your thoughts into the project and try to grow the project better. Now, to talk about the maintenance team, so we are around 13 maintainers who look into the Flatcar project. So every maintainer has a different responsibility. Some might be looking into package maintenance, because there are so many packages out there in Flatcar that we get, which we ingest from Gentoo. So it's based, Flatcar is based on Gentoo. So we have Gentoo core maintenance in the Flatcar maintenance team who work with upstream to get those packages. We have a maintainer looking solely on testing. And for me, one of my primary responsibilities is looking into the releases. For last 4 years, all the releases that have been going out, I've been planning those from every month or so. And similarly, so this is a number we would really like to grow along with the contributors number. We would like more. Right now, a lot of the Flatcar maintainers are from Microsoft and cloud-based, but we would really like to build this number out. Now, to reflect upon, one thing is, I felt that when building the slides, that we essentially can divide our Flatcar maintainership into 4 vows that we usually take, and this would almost be similar to other projects as well. So the first being like I take in innovation along with the stability of the projects. I think about the project on how we can make it better and welcome ideas from others as well. The next being like Flatcar being a project which is focused highly on security. So for us, security, it takes the top pillar out there. So the system should be secure by default, and try to see on how we can reduce the attack surface so that we can build a zero-touch infrastructure for you all. And then we have like testing the OS, because we are pushing out an OS which people rely on. Since, as I mentioned, that we want a zero-touch OS out there, so we really don't want you to tinker with our OS, build an OS that is so stable that people can the applications they are working on. And this is where we have this thing that we even test our alpha so much that we put even our alpha really boots clean. And finally, like nurturing the community. At the end of the day, every open source project strives on making the community bigger and better for everyone. Like there's cross collaboration happening. I talked with a lot of open source maintainers during this conference and even KubeCon 2024. And the idea is like talking about ideas and with other contributors, exchanging ideas and trying to build something over the next years. So I'll go through these vows one by one and break them down into small areas. And finally, the idea is that at the end, I'll try to show you a few ways you can contribute so that you have some like a visual knowledge on how you can implement the learnings you are taking out from here. So talking about the first, so we have, if you break down the first vow, it's mostly innovation, upstream first, and use case oriented. So what I mean by innovation, so Linux in general is a very highly, is a fast moving, moves at a very fast pace. So what that means is there are new features coming in and we have to, and given we are an OS, so we inculcate a lot of the packages as well. For example, even for systemd, there are a lot of things getting developed almost every release they push out new and new features. So we have to inculcate that and see how we can have those adapted to our Flatcars and give it to our users. So this is where innovations come in. I just searched through RFEs that are open, requests for enhancements that have been created by our users and our maintainers. So there are right now around 144 of them open on GitHub right now. You can see this is like from I just took the screenshot yesterday. So we have almost 144 of the enhancements that you can possibly work on. And this is where the innovations come into the picture. So I talked about the 13 maintainers, right? So when we are doing our day job, we definitely have our core areas to look into. But then we also we definitely have one of the core areas, but then we also work with each other to make it better. And one of the things that we usually do in every few months is pick up a new innovation. For example, I have been last few months, I have been like pushing for secure boot. And that's one of the items that I've been working on. The next item that I'll pick on is making the infrastructure for Flatcar better. So we always look into big challenges, and then you have the air, food, water, which is like release and everything. Then, as I mentioned, we have the continuous environment changing around the Linux ecosystem, so you have to adapt to that. And given we are a container ecosystem, it's much more at a faster pace, so we look into that as well. And in general, over time, we have seen since the incubating a lot of these RFEs, and I mean, I have literally seen in last 6 to 7 months that these RFEs are coming from the users, and people are directly working on those RFEs themselves, if they can. And this is where the innovations picture come into. And the next is upstream first. So if you have worked on open source project, you will definitely hear this term as upstream first. So the idea is that we try to not maintain patches, and whenever possible, try to collaborate with other communities out there, so that we can work with them to build those features upstream and then consume it back into our Flatcar. How this helps, we don't have to maintain the patches. The other communities can also get those features that we are working on. For example, with Gentoo, we have done that. We have been working with systemd, sysx, so we pushed a lot of those patches to systemd directly and later consuming them. If we see, for example, if there is security fixes that are coming in, we don't try to fix Flatcar, but rather submit a patch with Gentoo so that it's fixed for every Gentoo user out there. And finally, like if we are at KubeCon, so I would take this moment to talk about the CAPI work that we have done in the past few months. We have been collaborating very heavily on the CAPI cluster API sites and to make the whole ecosystem better. And the last piece is on the first wow is the use case oriented. So we try to listen. So how we developed is that we try to listen to folks. We listen on how people are using Flatcar and then try to build it so that it's more relatable to people at the end of the day. Now coming to the next section, which is the second wow, which was around security. So we have the first thing as secure by default, which I mean that we take priority on security. So as I told, like we have RFEs around securities as well, but I want you, so how I picture this as you contributors can come down and look into our source and see on how you can, if you are interested in security, on how we can make Flatcar more secure, because that's the ideology we work with. The next is security tracking. So this is one thing that we heavily invest time on. We track a lot of channels through which we can get what are the latest CVs, so that we can patch them in the next releases. And this is one example. This is also done publicly, so this is open. If you are maintainer of, suppose, a particular package, you can definitely open this up and try to patch it for Flatcar. And this is a good way to take the security initiative forward. You try to work with the Flatcar team to see that all the high severity patches, high severity CVs get fixed on time. And yeah, this is done almost on a weekly basis. We take, so to give an example, 3 of the maintainers take roles. They cycle through every week to to track through all the channels. For example, last week I was one of the primaries for looking into this. So my job every day would be like to start up the morning and look through all the channels and see if there are any CVs that has to be like tracked. And this is something I've been working to automate it, so that we don't have the manual effort to be put in, but automated. We have done some work, but there's no more work that need to be done. The next is like a good area I was thinking on this side was audit certifications. These are like something that big companies wants. So if you are interested, you could probably look into on how how Flatcar can adapt your ideas, your experience to do triages around security on our source code and do audits on security. And the third wow is primarily around testing. As I mentioned, we do very heavy rely on test. I've been talking with, I mean, in KubeCon, you might teammates go out to approach various other cloud providers, so that we actually build images for a lot of the cloud providers, and we have been working with different cloud providers to see on how we can get testing credits and work with them to build that testing criteria. So every day we have nightlies running test on all the cloud providers to see like all the patches that are coming in are properly tested. We have a test framework. This is where the Go thing comes into the picture. So it's called Mantle. It's written, so the project is called Mantle, is written in Go, and it has this thing called Cola, and I'll show you a demo towards the end. So you have test cases which test integration, it tests various components various parts of the source code or the image. Like for example, it tests all the there are Kubernetes tests, there are eBPF tests, there are Flannel tests, there are systemd tests, there are and normal login, user creation, all those tests are in there. And if you are interested in this domain, this is, I think, is a very good area to get to know the system well, because you are actually digging and creating tests and seeing that on how things react in different cloud providers. And yeah, we use Jenkins for our testing, and during the releases as well, they go through a thorough release cycle, and I'll show you a release process we follow for the release later. But yeah, you'll see on how we actually check those, check like every test has passed or not, and then only we go ahead with the release. And this cycle goes on for the release at least, it goes up for every 2 to 3 weeks. Then PR reviews, yeah. PR reviews really goes in depth. I mean, if you have, I think for me, PR reviews are a great way to learn more things from your teammates. There are definitely a lot of experienced people out there in the community. Reach out for their help. They might be more experienced than you in different other languages. Ask for help. Try to dig through those reviews and see on how you can make yourself better and probably grow yourself into that person, so that people can reach out to you for help. So, but yeah, PR reviews is something you can look into, read through to get an idea of where the project is heading as well. So yeah. And timely releases, with all this wrapped up, we releases happen every few weeks, and it almost takes like 2 to 3 days, which earlier, I mean, if you listen to my previous year's maintenance talk, which I gave primarily around releases, on how we evolved releases after in last 4 or 5 years, our release cycle, every release would take around easily 4 to 5 days, which we have shortened down to almost a few hours now. But yeah, definitely there are some hooks and crooks where we find where we could improve, and we are trying the best to make it that it's less human interaction required for doing the releases, and more automation on that, and more automation things could handle the releases. So this is also an area to look into. And finally, the community. So we have bi-weekly meetings. So you can definitely, if you want to help, you can definitely join into our matrix channel. Our matrix channel is super busy with discussions flowing, and we do have a Slack channel. It's not that active. Matrix was the first that came into the picture, but and that's where all the maintainers hang out. But we introduced this community office hours where people can actually interact with users come in. There are people who are from different cloud providers come in to pitch their product, and then we also have talks on what new things are building. So community office hour usually happens on the second Wednesday of every month, and then the fourth Wednesday, we turned it into a Flatcar developer sync, where we go through all what is happening in the project. We have roadmaps on what are things worked on, be it like the infrastructure that I talked of. Right now, it's the infrastructure. We have like system extension works that are going on, and overall OS roadmap, where the OS is heading, package updates where they're heading. So we take a look at those in the Flatcar developer sync meetings. And from June, so earlier we used to have this, probably in 6 months we used to do this bug smashing. So we went through our bugs to see what can be prioritized and properly label them, asking people basically to close the bug and triage those bugs. But and and after a few months we would do a documentation day. And what we did was to make this mode of a frequent thing, so we introduced the maintenance mode in the month of May. And the idea for maintenance mode is we all the maintainers on the 4th of last Friday actually go into this mode where they either are working on something that they would probably have not worked in the regular time. And for example, the last one, we started off looking into the docs. A lot of the docs were deprecated and like newer things that come up, so we were looking through on building a better docs. We also started looking into for example, the whole restructuring of the doc so that it is more how to say this, so to put it like it's more visible and clearer to the people who are using the docs, referring to docs, because we heard from comments in various channels that docs is a bit Flatcar docs is a bit hard to browse. So this is where we started to take some action on it for the Flatcar docs. So yes, so I jumped through this. So I'll quickly, with around 10 minutes remaining, I'll quickly jump to the demo. So it's basically like going through all the links that I had um, and summarizing it. So yes, so the first thing we talked about innovation. So 1 minute. So the first thing we talked about was innovation. So we have this Flatcar scripts repo where we do all the development. If you click on Flatcar here, you can definitely see on all the projects that are getting worked on. And for example, Nebraska is one of the newest projects that started getting attention. This was a bit dormant for some time, so we started working on it. It is like if you're into front end and stuff, this is definitely a project you can look into. And scripts is something very where the actual image building takes place. So 1 minute. Yeah. So this is mostly a lot of scripts that build images and build the packages and everything. So you can probably dig into this one, and this actually integrates with the whole CI pipeline that we have, and we are trying to look into on how we can build this whole thing, move into GitHub Actions. Yeah, so this is example of the script that I wanted to show. Like it's purely like all the things happen in shell script. So yeah, the next thing that comes into the picture is um, is package maintenance, which I was talking about. So so essentially we have something as so these are where the Gentoo packages reside, and I'll take you into, so you can see in the CodeOS overlay, you can see on how many packages do we have. So these are the broader categories. If you click on this, you will see all the packages inside them. So each of them would have probably 5 to 6 packages in them. And then I'll give an example on how the e-builds look. So these are primarily like if you have done package maintenance before, like for example, RPM building. So this is almost on the same line. So you take a tarball or some other form of package that the upstream provides. You try to break it down. You install the configs in the appropriate location. So this is in Gentoo done via e-builds, and we primarily maintain those e-builds on a regular basis. Um and this is that was the scripts repo, but now I'll jump to the main repo where we look into the all the issue. It's kind of the issue tracker and the information repository that we have. And so these are all the RFEs that we have open now. So few of them probably closed down. So yeah, right now it's like 108. So these are the RFEs. You can go through them. They would probably have a few comments in there and what Flatcar wants. So people write those things down, and this is definitely an area you can look into and dig into and work if you're interested in contributing to Flatcar. The next one is this one, I guess. Yeah. And this is the roadmap board that I was talking. So during the developer sync meeting, even in the community call, we have a small section. So we go through these roadmap issues. So these are like a few of the roadmap status. One, be it code or overall maintenance of the project. And there are various boards, like we have proposed, accepted, queue, in progress. Some things we are working on. For example, as I talked about, I am working on secure boot. So this was the tracking issue for that one. If you see here, like we have a bunch of things done, but few of the things are remaining. So we are working on those to get them done. And if you are interested in these, so you can definitely look into. Then I have here like the releases. So in releases, you have like we are planning on our next release on 11th August. So this would be a major release for major release for alpha and beta, but then for stable it would be a maintenance release. And we are also in this release would be the last for the one of our LTSs. So anyway, so these are the things we plan our releases here, what are going into it. So it's like a board that we maintain, and we track it during our community calls. So it's a good place to see what's happening in the project and then start looking into. So yeah, after that, I went through all this, show tracker, what's pending. So yeah, and then next is security. So yeah, so I'll show you on the security issues. This is mental. Oh, wait. Yes. Yeah, so these are the security issues. We have only two of them open now. Two of the advisory that are open now, but if you see the previous one that got closed, so a few of them. I mean, these were all closed very recently. Let me just sort by last updated. So yeah, this probably got updated yesterday or something, because yeah, but yeah, this is something we are working on to automate. But this is, if you are interested in security, you can definitely look into it. And we usually, if you open up the security issues, you will see we usually, like, you will have all the information you need to work on. Like for example, these are the the Intel microcode fixes, and we would need to update our package to this particular version, and it also mentions the summary of what needs to be fixed. And yeah, so this is like so we have a comment on how it's blocked on the boot partition size. So yeah, and next is the testing one. 1 minute, it's getting difficult. Yeah, so this is the repo that I was talking of. We use this heavily for testing and publishing things on different cloud providers. And this is all the tests we do. Again, if you open them, you will probably find the test in there. It's a goal project. So these are the test cases that happen. So we set up the system, test it on various cloud providers and stuff. Okay, I'll quickly move now because we have 2 minutes. Yeah, so these are the few tests that we have. If you're interested, this is definitely a place you can look into. This is the release project. So we do publish it to various cloud providers, be it Azure, AWS, and others. So we use this tool integrated with our pipeline to publish it to various cloud providers. So yeah, and again, like, once this is a huge code base for the platform part. So this is inside Mantle, and platform definitely has a huge API base to connect with various cloud providers. So again, like, this has a good way to, if you want to know more about how the interaction and everything works, so this is a good way to look into. uh, these are RFEs. I'll quickly move now. So this is, I talked about on 11th of August, we have a release plan. So we have a tracking issue. So right now the release, the folks responsible is me and Matthew, who will be looking into the releases. We have a HackMD doc already created. So it somehow looks like this. This is from the last release. So we tested which are, we usually note down which platform succeeded, which platform were not tested, and what are the failures, so that we can fix it over the next cycle. And this is like all the release notes and everything. So this is kind of automated now, but yeah, definitely release is a very good way to start looking into a beginner. If you're a beginner, this is definitely a place where you can start looking into the overall process. And yeah, this gets published on our websites when the release is done. So we maintain stable beta, alpha, and LTS releases. And thing to end it, like the last section I was talking about the meetings. So we have release automation. We have the meetings. It's on our discussion channels. So you can follow this to see when are the office hours happening. It's usually on the second and the fourth Wednesday. For that matter, we also have an iCal that you can probably add to your calendar. But the last one happened of 9th of July. The next one would happen somewhere in August, the second Wednesday, whenever it is. And yeah, I think we are running less on time, so I'll quickly move. Even if you miss the developer sync meetings, we have it on a YouTube channel. It gets live stream. Except the maintenance mode. Maintenance mode is a whole day effort, so we don't publish it to our YouTube channel. But the office hour and all the discussion and all the talks are there on our YouTube channel. We are planning to extract content out of this. The talks that have happened on these videos and have them published on the channel directly, so that people can don't have to go through the whole video to see the good content. And finally, the maintenance mode, the next one would happen on the last of month, and I think that's one of the best way. We have a few contributors who are coming in, but we would definitely like more people to join the maintenance mode at the last of August, on the last Friday of August. Yeah, so this is it. Yeah, so to give an example, like we had, so Yusuf is one of the new contributors. He closed one of the issues with help of Matthew. We closed around 9 issues, but I talked about the docs rework proposal that we have been working on. We have also been working on the Bootstrap website 5 migration. So these are the works that have been happening. This is the last maintenance mode work. Before that one, we closed around 17 of them. We had a few low-hanging fruits also mentioned. Again, like this is again a contributor that helps out with Nebraska these days. He has been putting a lot of effort into making Nebraska really nice. So yeah, I think this should give you an idea, but definitely contributing to an operating system is definitely a very challenging but an exciting task. So what I would suggest is I am available in the hallway. So definitely catch me up if you want to talk more, and we can connect and basically can help you guide through like joining the Flatcar and contribute to Flatcar. So yes, I'll take this back. So with that, I think, do you folks have any questions? Cool. I think we are almost over time. So this is a few resources. Uh, so you can probably click a picture of this. These are the resources, the times, and you can probably contact us. The matrix application is on the chat, is mentioned there. It's an element, so you can definitely join the element matrix channel and then connect with us. Cool. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a nice KubeCon. Thank you.